You guys ever heard of nuisance streaming? It's a concept that's gotten a lot of attention recently. Unfortunately, this concept makes me fear for the collective IQ of humanity as a whole. In particular, I doubt anyone here needs any introduction to the human turd that is Johnny Somali. In the age of clout chasing at all costs, it should come as no surprise that people out there are copying his route to success. Well, I'd say success, but the decade in Korean prison he's now facing would say otherwise. Anyway, one of these scumbag is none other than Vitaly Zorovetsky. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, you're probably old enough to remember the era of YouTube where the fake scripted pranks and gold digger bashing were the meta. Well, this guy's pretty much the one who made that meta back in the day, cementing himself as an OG of the platform. So have you been curious about what he's been doing since then? Or is he probably rich now and he's making investments to get set for life? Is he finally doing something positive for once, making nice content and uplifting the people? Hell no! He's a Johnny Somali knockoff who travels across Asian countries where the people there are way too polite to beat some sense into a tourist. And then he harasses them day in, day out for views. And surprise, surprise, he's fucked around and found out exactly the same thing Somali did. He's now been arrested. Honestly, Somali could just probably sue this man for plagiarizing his book. He done stole his whole flow. Word for word, bar for bar. Vitaly is in search of clout, cash, and chaos, the three poisonous seeds of modern content creation. He makes his way back to the Philippines. This is an Asian country that's a tourist hotspot and has a reputation for their banging fried chicken chain, Jollibee. Oh, and the people there? Super polite, unconfrontational, and they are accommodating as hell. And then he starts taking advantage of all of those traits by going full-blown nuclear nuisance streamer mode. We're talking stealing police vehicles, stealing people's hats, stealing a VR mask or something. He even stole an industrial fan of all things. He also threatened to rob a sweet old lady and, well, that's a lot of stealing going on here. Not sure if we can call him a nuisance streamer anymore at this point, cause he's just a petty thief. Of course, that's far from the full extent of it, cause he's also going around randomly and harassing strangers in public and making their day a little bit shittier. Also, he's just going around doing some ridiculous Looney Tunes ass crap like this right here. Not sure what age demographic he thinks he's catering to because literally no grown person is finding that funny. He actually feels like he has every right to do the things that he does, and this is what he had to say about it.
I was born in this world to be free.
Bro actually thinks that he is the bearer of the Attack Titan and the savior of the Eldian people. Now, luckily, Vitaly's situation is literally the same as his sensei, Johnny Somali. Don't be thinking his actions have not gone unnoticed by the local authorities, and in this case, even his own platform. The website that Vitaly streams on, because of course that's where he streams, Kick has banned his account. That's only the beginning of the good news, guys, because Vitaly has just been smacked upside the head with an arrest. Yep, apparently you can't just go about your day after stealing police property and harassing people in front of them. Who would have thought? However, if you know him at all, or at least familiar with any part of this man's past, he's far from a stranger to legal trouble. Hell, with how often he has brushes with the law, you'd think he likes it. And check out his mugshot. Sure as hell doesn't help with that image. So before this picture was taken, just minutes after he was taken into custody and was read his Miranda rights, this man seems wholly unfazed, even smirking at one of the people recording like you can see in this clip. We know why he's acting that way. For one, he's got an image to uphold. But more importantly, and speaking to a larger issue as a whole, he is convinced that he'll actually get away with it all. In his head, he's telling himself, I'm doing the same thing as Johnny Somali in Japan. At most, I'll just get sent back to the States. Unfortunately for him though, Filipinos don't fuck around. They may be very nice and tolerant, but they also see right through steaming piles of manure like Vitaly. As a matter of fact, while speaking about the situation on local TV, an immigration spokesperson point blank called him out for the smirk in his arrest video and the callous attitude. This kind of thing is usually just ignored in favor of keeping things professional on TV. This spokesperson don't care at all, and thank God for that. So with any luck, this isn't about to be brushed under the rug quite like he'd hope. Other creators out there are making contact with lawyers from the Philippines, and we have a rough estimate of what charges Vitaly will be facing. The pretty obvious ones are alarms and scandals and, of course, theft. But the most prominent charge he's now facing is something called unjust vexation. So, unjust vexation in Philippine law refers to any act that annoys, irritates, torments, disturbs, or harasses another person without a legitimate purpose. So, pretty much anything and everything that Vitaly's been doing throughout his whole time in this country. Even now, Vitaly's being held by immigration in a detention facility with the possibility of temporary release through cash bond. That bond, however, is fully at the discretion of the Bureau itself. And guess where he's going? To make things even worse, the particular facility he's been sent to is Camp Bagong Diwa. And let's just say that this place is not somewhere you ever want to be. This camp holds some of the highest security prisons in the Philippines. This is where they house accused terrorists. So if you're curious about what we're looking at, take a look at this video, and this is just the lobby. Now, unlike Johnny Somali, Vitaly's actually got a lot more than just a MAGA hat and a set of lungs to his name, so he can actually afford to take his case all the way into court with some competent lawyers. At this point, we can only hope that the charges stick so he actually gets to face the consequences of his actions instead of simply being deported back to the US, because we all know he's gonna go scot-free in that case. Luckily, it seems like things are going to be taken to the fullest extent as they can under Philippine law. Even now, the authorities are trying to go after the cameraman who's been working for Vitaly. He's a local, so they're trying to press some charges against him. Fingers crossed, maybe something good will come out of that side of this investigation. Finally, before we wrap up this video, I'd like to give a shout out to this man. For those of you who aren't aware, he personally confronted Vitaly in recent days and he called him out to his face on a lot of his crap, as well as the fact that he uses charity and clever editing to make himself seem sympathetic. Spoilers, he isn't. I'd go more into detail on that entire episode, but that's a whole other story for another video. For now, let's hope that justice actually gets served and Vitaly gets to be a true Johnny Somali 2.0 by getting thrown in jail like him. Go ahead, click on this video about that guy if you don't get what I'm referring to. And of course, subscribe!